Hey everyone, and welcome to my unboxing of basically my new dream camera. So this is the camera that I initially wanted when I first ordered the GH5. It was between this, obviously at the top end of the budget, and coming slightly lower down was the A7Siii and the GH5, and basically I was kind of pitting the GH5 and the A7Siii against each other. And whilst the GH5 was a brilliant camera, and for all of my YouTube stuff it was perfect, and I will touch on that more in a future video, it did kind of feel like I was basically making a compromise. And the more I thought about it, the more basically I came to the decision that I just wanted to pay the extra money and buy the real deal effectively. So here what we have is the Sony A7S3. The lenses that I've ordered for this haven't actually arrived yet. They'll be arriving later today. This I actually ordered online, not from my usual place, which is Amazon. This I actually ordered from somewhere else, hence why basically the body has arrived but the rest hasn't. So I thought what we'll do is, rather than wasting time, we'll dive in and we'll take a look at what we actually get in terms of the main body. So if you were to purchase this online, and what we'll do is I'll also make a separate video in terms of the website that I've actually ordered this from, because that once again I think is a bit of a gem, and it's worthy of a video on its own. So firstly, when you open the box, obviously you get two compartments. In here we have a USB-A to USB-C cable. We do have some pamphlets. Now I did have a quick look through this. So on top what we have is a notification of some of the Sony cards that basically could have faults with them. So it basically just gives you details in terms of those, and basically just recommending people to send those back if you have purchased any of the relevant serial numbers and things like that. The rest of this is all pretty standard instruction manual, all that kind of stuff. So I won't be going through this. Generally I can figure out tech without having to use manuals, but the A7S3 is one of those kind of cameras that it has tons and tons of videos, and I've been watching loads anyway, so I'm sure I can figure that out. So opening it up, next thing we have is the A7s3 strap. It's nice orange stitching and the blue, which basically indicates the S model. I don't normally like to use straps on any type of cameras, but I'll see. Obviously it's good to have just for when you are out and about. Right, next thing we have is a wall adapter charger. So as I say, I did have a quick look through this. Here we have the UK plug. So it's just a figure of 8 cable and with a proper UK plug, so I'm not having to fish about with adapters. And basically this is the screw-in adapter to basically hold the HDMI cable when if you wanted to connect the HDMI cable up to it. And the benefit of that is basically it just takes the stress off the cable as well as the sort of body of the camera, so it just makes it easier to actually have that cable connected and not have it put force on the actual HDMI port itself, because they're not the best of things, the HDMI ports, and they can become faulty over time. This particular charger I probably won't be needing because I have ordered another charger off Amazon. That particular charger actually comes with 2 batteries, but I do know that the A7R4 I believe was the first one, and where a certain firmware actually makes it so then certain functions don't work. The camera will still work with third-party batteries. It just displays an error message, and basically your percentage for battery disappears. Right, further down in this little section here, the only thing down there is the battery itself. So let's take a look at this. So this is the MPFZ100 battery. I believe the early ones were 500, so basically this is I think it's double the capacity. So this is 2280 milliamp hour. I'm not sure if that was in focus there, just there. So you should be able to see it just there. 16.4 watt hours, 7.2 volts. So everybody who's used one of these Z batteries has basically commented on how brilliant they are. The GH5 battery life was actually pretty good, so I'm hoping this continues that trend. Okay, so here we have the main event essentially. So this is the body of the A7S3. And what we'll do is we'll just pop the battery in. There we go, nice click. And yeah, you do have to push the little lock icon just to get to lock in. So we do have a flip out screen and it is fully rotating as well. So let's just power it on and take a look. So English, yes. Let's see how quickly we'll done. Okay. Here. So today is the 13th of the 2nd, 20, and it is currently 2:48. I do already have the app downloaded, so we'll be syncing that up afterwards. Obviously right now I'm using the actual iPhone. So yeah, so this is basically what I was saying. So the little percentage that you have there, I believe that disappears once you actually switch it over and use a third-party battery. At the moment, basically I don't have any SD card because the SD card is coming along with the lens. But basically initially I just wanted to get an unboxing of the actual main camera body, get that out of the way. And what you do have is a little sort of cutout area just up here that makes it a bit easier to pull the screen out. I must say this is a lot smaller in terms of the actual body than I was actually expecting from all the pictures, and obviously because generally you're going to have this paired up with quite, well, I probably will end up having paired up with quite big lenses just because I want really fast lenses, so f1.4, f1.2, that kind of thing. And once you put all of that on, it will obviously build it up quite a lot. But initially I literally just wanted something something that was more capable essentially. Right, so the built-in battery does need charging, and the brilliant thing about this is it will actually charge over USB-C, I believe. So if we just take a look at the doors, then I believe this is a new style. So rather than having flappy doors that are hinged on, these ones are actual proper doors. Microphone port is on its own. That's basically your line in, and then this is very similar to the GH5 in fact. And then let me just turn it off, I don't want to kill the battery before the lenses even arrive. And then you have your headphone jack just below that in a separate door, and just below that you have your USB-C, and then just down here is where you have your full-size HDMI port, which is nice. And once again, as I said, you do have the option of screwing this in order to support that. Okay, so first impressions. So the grip is really good. I really like this, the ergonomics of the actual grip. Now, one thing straight away in comparison to the GH5, I'm not a fan of where the record button is actually placed. So if I go off basically what I was used to doing with the GH5, the normal shutter button is pretty good. That's in a good location. I'm not a fan of the power button or the power switch being there. I actually prefer the location of the GH5 where it was on the back, so that you don't accidentally knock it. This button, well, the sort of wheel that you've got on the front is pretty good, as well as these ones on the back. But as I say, the record button for me is not in a great location because most of the time I'm be recording video. If I am doing it basically handheld single-handedly, then rather than being very natural where it is there, I'm having to reach back and almost sort of twist my hand. I'm not sure if this actually has a built-in level. If it does, then that's something where if you're reaching around to try and hit this particular button, then that might be basically messing up the start of your video, and then obviously you'll have to just make edits to that. For YouTube stuff, that's obviously not a problem. You can make loads of cuts and edit it out as needed, but basically the main reason I actually went for this over the GH5 was more for just personal sort of videos and run and gun kind of shoot videos, handheld videos, those kind of things where basically I just want to pick it up and use it. And for that, it's I'm sure I'll get used to it eventually, and I'll probably end up having to use my thumb or something, bring it around. You can reach it, it's just not, I think for me it's just not in the best position, that particular button. Holding it two-handed, yeah, that's perfectly fine, but single-handedly the shutter button's fine, and that the ergonomics of that works perfectly fine, but the record button for me is not best placed. Everything else, obviously it'll take a little getting used to. There's no function button on the front. I'm not sure if the lens release on this particular camera actually works as a function button or not. We'll have to wait and see for that, but obviously you do have your C1, your C2, your C3, and I believe even some of these other function buttons you can actually reallocate as well. But yeah, that was literally just a first look, first unboxing, first impression. Basically this feels even smaller than the GH5, and that can only be a positive with the size of the lenses that I'm going to end up having to pair with this. But yeah, what I will do is once the lenses and everything arrives and the memory card, I'll get this all hooked up and we'll take a look. Hey everyone, so here we are back. Amazon deliveries just arrived. I've been rushing to try and get set up, so I'm not gonna set up all my normal lighting, so apologies for that. I just want to get everything installed. So the two things that I did order, I do still have more coming, but basically the first thing was a V90 Pro grade 256GB SD card. The existing one that I had was 512, and basically I tried checking every single brand out there for a 512 because I prefer having more memory if possible, but basically this was all I could find essentially. So this is the first thing that's going to be getting installed. Now you might notice I've already installed my quick release from my tripod. Previously I didn't actually use this one because a good little design, I don't know whether this was intentional or not, but on the GH5 the screen would basically come right down flush with the bottom of the body. On the A7S3 it actually sits inside a little crevice, and because of that it means that you can actually take your screen out without catching any quick release mount that you've actually got it mounted onto, or cage. So I'm guessing the cages for the GH5 would have actually been slightly different as well. So first thing we're going to do is install the memory card. Right, and what I've also received is basically the main lens that I'm hoping to be using with this. So this is the Sigma 24 f1.4. Obviously I used the Sigma lenses on the GH5 and I was absolutely in love with them. The quality of the Sigma lenses was very, very good. Now you get the usual kind of packaging in terms of initial impressions. Obviously you get loads of paperwork, warranty information, all that kind of stuff. But then this is where it kind of differs slightly, with this being part of their Art Series lens. I'll just chuck all of this back in the box. They do actually provide you with a nice little protective case, and this should give you an idea in terms of just how big this lens is. So if we unscrew that, as you can see, you've got some nice thick padding there, and this will be the lens itself. Now I might not actually put this on the camera straight away because having just come from outside, obviously you're not going to be able to see this, but this is very, very cold because currently in Derby it's basically around 10 degrees, and because of that everything will essentially have a little bit of condensation whilst it actually adapts, and I don't want any condensation building up and getting inside either the camera or obviously the lens side of things. First impressions is this is a very heavy lens, so that weighs considerably more than the actual camera itself. Just taking a look, so you do have a weather seal just around the outside there, which is nice. Taking a look on the buttons, so you do have a autofocus and manual focus switch, and you also have a aperture ring as well. Now presumably just there, and it has actually got a click once you reach the end point, so it's not infinite turning. And just take a look at the glass portion, so it does bulge out quite a bit. This I believe is a 77mm ND filter diameter. So that is the lens. As I say, I mean you should be able to see it. There's condensation building up on this instantly, so I don't really want to put this straight onto the camera just yet. The battery for the camera is charging up at the moment anyway, because it's arrived completely dead. But that's basically what it looks like with the hood the right way around, and as with the Sigma lenses, you can basically turn it like that in order to get it just keep it all tidy when you're not using it. That is the first lens that I'll be using. I will have another lens coming. I'll make a separate video on that once it actually arrives, but initial impressions is I really like this protective case that they've actually provided with it, just to give you a bit more extra protection and makes it a bit easier in terms of storing it as well. This is the kind of lens that doesn't easily fit inside most normal size bags. So if I just show you, so this is just a small one that I bought literally just to store the camera in whilst it's not in use. So you can basically, obviously you can adjust all of these inside, but basically you can drop the camera inside there and have it stored, but obviously you don't have a lot of room for additional lenses in that, so it's a good thing that it actually comes with this, and you've got a nice little sort of belt strap, if you like, just there. So yeah, first impressions is it looks like a beast, and if it's anything like the Sigma lenses that I've tested for the GH5, I'm guessing I'm going to be really impressed by this. But yeah, I'll let this warm up a little, let it acclimatise, and then I'll be back with some sample videos.